With the Bundesliga starting up this weekend, I thought it would be a good idea to go in and rate the top 50 Bundesliga players in order from star rare down to tier 4. If you do enjoy the video, lads, please do leave it a like. And if you are new around here, please do subscribe. And if you're completely new to Sorare and you are yet to sign up, there is a link in the description of this video that will get you £50 worth of market credits once you've purchased your first 5 cards from the auctions. Now, I went on Transfer Market and I ranked them by market value, basically. So we're looking at the the top 50 most expensive Bundesliga players. We're going to rank them on, how viable, how good I think they'll be as a so rare card. Not so much, in real life does translate to so rare, but there is a few little quirks that, might not go for certain cards, but they still might be a very good card or very good player, in real life. So anyway, let's get into it then. But kicking it off then with Stuttgart's Enzo Milot, who had a good season last year, to be fair. He wasn't elite by any stretch, but he's a decent card. I don't think he's terrible at all. I think he's a very good player. Losing Guirassy is a big sort of vocal point that they're missing. They have semi-replaced him, which we'll get into. But yeah, for me, I think he's an easy tier 2 for now. I don't expect the world from him, to be honest, and yeah, I think that's a fair placement. Next up is Alex Garcia. Of course, moved from Girona to Bayer Leverkusen to, work with Xavi Alonso. Interesting one. I actually own an Alex Garcia. I have his Girona card. I still own it. He's a set piece taker. Very heavily involved in everything Girona did last season. And he basically played every minute of every game, effectively. Of course, he's moved now. And, Leverkusen last season weren't the best of places for, or owning midfielders from Leverkusen. On Sorare was just a bit of a nightmare. You had Palacios, you had Xhaka, and now you're adding Alex Garcia into that. It definitely makes that rotation now a little bit tougher to predict. If there wasn't that rotational risk, I genuinely think he could be one of the best midfielders. Now, this is me speculating there's going to be rotation, just going off what happened last season and going into a semi-packed midfield. They do have quite a bit of depth there. And so I can't put him into star rare for that reason. But they played in the cup on the weekend and he did take all the set pieces, albeit Grimaldo wasn't playing or didn't start. So it'll be interesting to see who actually ends up with them. But let's just assume he has them, Alias that is. Then I think he's a tier 1 card. But the thing that lets him down, or I think the thing that will let him down, is maybe the rotations there. Castillo Luqueba, of course, just played at the Olympics with France. I rate him. I think he's a very good centre-back. There was a bit of rotation last season as well with Leipzig and their centre-backs. Let's see if that sort of happens again this season. I think he's a solid tier 2. I don't think he's Slotterbeck levels for me. Bino Gittens, another really talented Englishman that went to Dortmund, following the footsteps of Sancho and Bellingham. He does have promise, different player to those two, of course, but we haven't really seen it yet. And pre-season is pre-season. I don't know how much he's realistically played to where, he's going to light up the Bundesliga this season. But for me, he has to go into tier 3 for now. He definitely has promise, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. Gnabry, it does feel like we've seen enough of these sort of mainstay Bayern wingers now, your Sanes, Gnabrys and Komans, to where, they were star rares at one point in this game for sure, easily. These days though, with injuries, aging, inconsistencies, Bayern, sort of new younger players. I can't put Gnabry any higher than Aliash. I think he's a tier 2 for now. Even then, I'm a little bit. I think I'm doing him a bit of a favour. I just wouldn't want to own a Gnabry card personally. Dimitrovic. Okay, so he's been brought in as the Guirassy replacement. Different players, but did score a lot of goals last season in the same league. And yeah, bigger club. Might be tough to adapt it, in some capacity, price tag and whatever. I think he's a solid tier 2 for now. I don't think he'll hit Guirassy heights, but I think he'll be a solid forward to own in that sort of Stuttgart stack, which we'll kind of cover in this video. Kosunu, good defender. I really rate him. Again, coming back to the Leverkusen rotations, he was subject to that last season, but when he played, he scored really, really well. So I'm going to put him into tier 2 on the basis of, we maybe see a similar rotation. But at the same time, when he does play, he can score really well. He can peak. I'll definitely give him that. Nico Schlotterbeck, I think he solidifies our first star rare of the video. I think he's the best defender on Sorare the best defender in the Bundesliga on Sorare, in my opinion. He's just ridiculous. His passing stats are outstanding. He can tackle, he wins duels, he's strong, he's tall, athletic, and he can also chip in with like weird assists and stuff. Like his passing range is really, really good. So yeah, I think Schlotterbeck's definitely our first star rare. Amin Adli, I rate him a lot. I think he's a great young player. He's not as young as he kind of was over the, when he sort of went to Bayern, by Leverkusen that is, sorry. And yeah, when he plays, he does have promise. Like he does have a bit of a punch in his game, but I don't think we see it enough. And for that reason, I'm going to put him into tier 3 for now. I don't know if he's consistent enough, to be a tier 2 for me. Yeah, maybe putting Gnabry over Adli's, a dodgy move, looking back now, but I'm going to stick with it now. I can't change it. We'll leave that as it is. Yan Couto, really nice signing from Girona. I think he'll do well. Like he's a fullback, so you're going to expect peaks, but you can also expect some really bad scores as well if Dortmund concede a couple of goals and stuff, which is just how fullbacks work on this game. I don't think I can put him into tier 1. I don't think he's a tier 1 yet. I think he's a good player, but I think tier 2 feels fine enough. Simakan, again, was subject to that rotation last season with like Lukeba, Simakan. You had like Klosterman as well. There was a couple of centre-backs last season at Leipzig who rotated. It was tough. I own a Simakan, actually. I have a 1 of 100, which I'm proud of, but yeah, he hasn't really hit the heights of maybe like 2 seasons ago. And if he does play right back, it's just not a good card for me, I don't think, scoring-wise. So I'm going to put him into tier 3. I don't know if he's as good as a Lukeba, to be honest. Kim Min-jae, very good defender. Obviously fell out of favour last season. So it's one of them where, like, who plays? If you've got Eric Dyer, if you've got Upamecano, if you've got Kim Min-jae, like, who actually starts out of the, 2 out of the 3? I think that hurts him, Kim that is. And yeah, I'm assuming Kim Min-jae is going to be third centre-back if they're going with a back 4. So, I might have to put him into tier 3 for now. Because if he's not going to play as much as, we'd want him to, then that's an issue. Lima, again, I think he's a good player in real life. Like, he offers a lot as a midfielder. But for Sorare purposes, like, he's not a set-piece taker. He's not really chipping in with loads of goals. Like, he's just not it for me. Pavlovic, really, really interesting midfielder for Bayern. Plays pretty deep. Was amazing last season against Real Madrid, I think it was, in the Champions League. First time I actually watched him play. I think he deserves to be a tier 2. I think he's a little bit better than Lima. So yeah, he'll go in there. Hugo Larsson has gone to Frankfurt. Swedish young midfielder. He's supposed to be really good. I'll be honest, I have not watched him play yet. His Sorare scores are quite promising from what I've seen. I don't want to put him into tier 2 because I don't know enough about him, that's just being brutally honest. But yeah, tier 3 feels fine enough for him. I don't think he's definitely not a stinker. And definitely could have some decent scores. Grimaldo, I kind of said Schlotterbeck's the best defender in the league on Sorare. I kind of forgot about Grimaldo. Yeah, he definitely rivals Schlotterbeck in that sense. A lot more punchier because he is a fullback and he does take set pieces. He has a wicked delivery, one of the best in the world probably. Easy star rare for me, that one's... Okay, next row, we've got Tapsoba. Again, he didn't really fall subject to the Leverkusen rotation as... maybe a Kosunu did. And so, yeah, if that kind of continues, I'm still surprised Tapsoba's never gone to the Prem or anything. Like, he's one of those ones that, like, always edge towards getting a transfer every summer, but it's never really happened. I think tier 2's fair for him. I think he's definitely a tier 2. Can score really well. But yeah, just a weird player and card in that, like, I really thought he would have got a bigger move. Guirassy. Now, we haven't obviously seen him at Dortmund yet. We saw him at Stuttgart. He was unbelievable. I mean, on the basis of those facts... He's got to be a tier 1 at least. He could even be a star rare maybe. But I'm going to be conservative and put him into tier 1. Sane, man. Jesus, like... he just looks a shadow of himself, I'll be honest. The shadow of the player that was at City. I know he was younger then. He was fitter, fresher, faster, whatever. I mean, he's still rapid. Man, I'm just not high on... I'm not high on Sane at all. If I'm putting Gnabry in tier 2... I mean, I can't put Sane as a worse card than Gnabry. If Sane's fully fit... He is unplayable. I think he is. But I just worry about that fitness for him. And like, he should be a tier 1. I just want to preface that. He should be a tier 1. But I'm not confident enough in his fitness and just his ability to stay fit that he'll kind of hit those heights again of, a couple of years ago where he was an absolute menace on this game. Tier 2 is maybe doing him a little bit of a disservice. Like I said, he probably deserves it to be into tier 1. If I didn't have those doubts. So, yeah, I can't help those doubts, and that's just kind of how it is. Florian Wirtz. I think we have our first midfield star rare. I think Florian Wirtz is amazing. He's been amazing for a long time. Still only 21, which is just mental. I think this is his last season in the Bundesliga, it feels like. If not, then he'll go to Bayern. Like, he'll either go to the Prem or Bayern. I don't think he'll go to Real Madrid, next season. I think he extended his contract and whatever. And yeah, what a player, what a talent. I do think Aliyesh and Grimaldo probably take over set pieces, so Wirtz might not get a share in them. He might, don't get me wrong. If you're watching this and you're a Leverkusen fan, you might know, or you will know a lot more than me, about your own team. But off the basis of Aliyesh, getting a lot of them on Saturday, Grimaldo didn't really play, but left-footed, of course, to Wirtz's right foot. I do worry about Wirtz's, all-around score from like a set-piece perspective. If he doesn't have them, then you're just banking on decisives from open play, which he's more than capable of. Don't get it twisted. But yeah, I still think he's a star rare. I do. Like, age-wise, under 23. And yeah, I think he'll do really well again. Like, I don't see him regressing. Adeyemi, how good of a Sorare card is Adeyemi? He's not a tier 1. I think he's a tier 2 at best, I would say, and that's probably doing him a bit of a favour. Hiroki Ito, of course, injured right now. I mean, he forms that sort of 4, centre-backs that Bayern have. I kind of forgot about him when I mentioned Kim and Jae. But yeah, I think he's broke his foot. So, I mean, I'm going to have to put him into, tier 4 for now because, we're not going to play for months. So, I'm only going off, what I can do with these cards, in the immediate future. This season starts next week for the league, so he just has to go into tier 4. I'm sorry, Hiroki. I do like you as a player, but for now, you're going to have to go in there just because you are injured. Alphonso Davies, I think he's regressed over the last couple of years. I do really think the breakup with his ex-missus has really affected him, it seems like. And yeah, I don't know him personally, but that's just a rough guess at what's going on because, yeah, he just doesn't look the same player. Like, let's be honest. I know he's had a couple of niggles and stuff, but 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years ago, you were like, Alphonso Davies is going to be Real Madrid's next left back easily, and he still could be. Like, he's still only 23. I don't think he's a tier 1. I don't think he scores consistently well enough to be a tier 1. I think tier 2's fair enough for him. I don't think he can definitely be a tier 1 star rare player, like he has been in the past when Bayern were firing. But last season, I know you can't always go off last season, but I really hope he improves. But from what being conservative, I do think tier 2 is fair enough for him now. Hopefully that changes over the course of the season. Nathan Teller, again, game time wise, I just don't see it really working out for Leverkusen and him. I think he goes into tier 4. Xavi Simons, easy star rare. On the opposite side of Wirtz, in that, of course, he's going to stay at Leipzig, which is great for him. And yeah, it looks like he will have a good share of set pieces as well, which is huge for Sorare scores in that sense, right? So yeah, easy star rare. That one's a no-brainer. Matthias Tell, easily a tier 1 star rare, capable, in the future type of player, but I just don't think we're going to see enough game time from him to warrant that. So he's tier 2 for me. Like, he will come in and score off the bench and have a few cameos, but I don't think he'll be, that in that first 11. I really don't think he will. So for that reason, he has to, he's going to have to go to tier 2 for us. Maxi Bayer, I'm pretty sure he's just signed for Dortmund, so we don't have his Dortmund card right now. Garassi's probably going to get a lot more game time than Bayer. I think he's sort of the understudy. They might go 2 up front, but I don't really know. I don't think I can put him on the same tier as Garassi, to be honest, so tier 2 feels fine enough. I think he'll score goals. He is really exciting. He was in high demand, I think, over this summer. So yeah, got his move, and yeah, hopefully he kind of proves me wrong and gets into that tier 1 type of scoring range. But I think Garassi's a miles better hold. Daniel Milan, saw glimpses of a player, didn't we, in the Euros? But is he a tier 1? I don't know. I don't think he is personally. I think he's a tier 2. I really do. I don't think I can put him higher than like an Alphonso Davies or Sane. Like, maybe I'm being a bit disrespectful. You know what? I'm gonna, first time ever in these type of videos, I'm actually gonna put Sane into tier 1. I feel like I'm neglecting tier 1 as a tier right now, and so yeah, I think Sane, if anyone on that list deserves to be in tier 1, it's probably him. Maybe Dimitrovic, maybe Lukeba, but yeah, I think I'll bump Sane up. Yeah, maybe I'll be a little bit more lenient towards him then. I said I weren't allowed to do that, but lads, no rules here. Omar Mamouche, very exciting player for Frankfurt. I rate him highly. I think he'll score goals. I think he'll peak in certain games. Frankfurt aren't going to be favourites in every game. I think tier 2's fair for him. Julian Brandt. Now, he's a tier 1 capable guy for me. Like, he's not I say he's not easy on the eye. Like, he is an elegant footballer. Like, I love watching him play. He's not as explosive and as athletic as you'd probably want, a modern footballer to be. I'm not saying he's slow, but he's not like rapid, but he's not really that type of player, right? If he's taking set pieces and stuff for Dortmund, there'll definitely be other players involved as well. Pascal Gross, I'm not sure if we'll see him in this list because he might not be in the top 50 as far as market value goes, but I think if we did have Gross, I just will let you know I would put Gross into tier 1 as well, because I do think Pascal Gross will be really good for Dortmund. Luis Openda, I think he's an easy tier 1. I think him and Xavi Simons have a great connection. He'll score goals. Easy tier 1 for me. And Michael Olise, what a player. What a signing from Bayern. Quite a left field signing, wasn't it, really, looking back? And I think it's going to be a match made in heaven. I think he could be one of the best under 23 midfielders, if not the best on the game. I think he could be better than Wirtz. Is he going to be better than Xavi Simons? Maybe. He very well could be better than Xavi Simons. So, star rare for me, comfortably. And then we're back to Leipzig with Benjamin Sesko. Is he better than Luis Openda as a hold? As a Sorare card? I think it's quite close. Like, if I'm looking at the forwards that I've put into tier 2, I've put Dimitrovic, I've put Adeyemi, Bayer. Is Sesko better than those? I'd say marginally, yeah. I think he's a tier 1. I think he'll do well. I think he'll score goals. He was promising in the Euros, albeit playing for a weaker side. No disrespect, but yeah, he showed glimpses. I don't think he scored a goal in the end, but yeah, I think he rattled the bar a few times, and yeah, I think he's an easy tier 1. Goretzka, I think Goretzka's sort of down and out. It seems like he's being sort of exiled from the Bayern squad and stuff. I mean, like, he should be a tier 4 in that sense, really, because I don't think he'll be at Bayern in that. Like, I don't think he'll be in the squad and stuff. Things aren't looking great for him. It looks like he's going to have to move from what I've seen on Twitter. So I'm going to put him in tier 4 for now. Sorry, Quinny, I know you're a massive fan, but it doesn't seem like Bayern are really high on Goretzka, and so for that reason, I'm going to have to disrespect him, which I'm sorry about, but it has to happen. Someone has to be in tier 4, right? Jeremy Frimpong. Very, very good player. His card on Sorare, though, is a bit hit or miss. Because he's a defender, because Leverkusen do concede goals, he then subsequently loses a lot of points. For a defender card, he has incredible amounts of sort of attacking prowess, attacking stats to go along with it, because he does play so high up and wide. And yeah, he's an absolute menace. Like, he really is. And so, like, he's definitely not a star rare for me, because there is a lot of downside to a card like him, but there is also a mega upside. Like, he is 100 capable on his day, and for that reason, I think he's a tier 1. I actually saw today the Stanisic is injured for a few months, I believe. So a tough one, similar situation to maybe Ito. So I'm gonna have to put him in tier 4 for now, because he's no use to me. If we're talking, immediate future and stuff. I think he's a relatively okay Sorare hold, but yeah, he has to go into tier 4 for now. Boniface, I think he's an easy tier 1. Will score goals again for Leverkusen. Did have a bit of a nasty injury last season, so that kind of forced him to slow down his goal scoring abilities. But yeah, easy tier 1. Jonathan Tah. Rumours that he was going to leave. It doesn't look like he's going to. I think he could be a tier 1. Is he the first defender we've put into tier 1? I think he is, right? Yeah, he is. First defender into tier 1. I think he's a better defender than Kosunu in that, like, I think he'll be a bit more settled as far as rotations go. Like, that comes into account here. Like, I'm accounting for rotations. I'm accounting for, how many games, how many times a season are you going to be able to go into a game where you can trust that Jonathan Tah is going to play football, and then score you goals and then, go on to win your reward. So, for that reason, he has to go in there. It does seem like Upamecano has kind of worked his way back into the main 2 defenders for Bayern. So he goes into tier 1 for me. And I think his fellow teammate João Palhinha, I think he's going to light up the Bundesliga. I think he's going to be really, really good. I don't think he's going to score tons of goals and get loads of assists, but I think his defensive side of things, his tackle ability, interceptions and duels is off. Well, it is off the charts. It was off the charts in the Prem. I think he'll be even better at Bayern in a more dominant side than Fulham. So, yeah, I think he could easily be like a 30 to 35 AA midfielder every game, realistically. So, yeah, tier 1 there for me. Dennis Undav was amazing last season for Stuttgart. It does look like he's going back there this season. I'm pretty sure they bought him on a permanent. I think he's a tier 1. I think Undav could be a tier 1. I really, really do. If we're going off last season, if we're going off him being, a permanent signing now, I think he'll feel a bit more settled, and yeah, he knows he's capable in that league and for that team. So I don't see any reason why that really regresses. Kingsley Coman, yeah, he is a good card on his day. But not consistent enough for me. He's a tier 2. Too many injuries. Way too many injuries. Fulrich, another Stuttgart boy. Did peak in certain games, I will give him that. I don't know if he's consistent enough to be accounted for like a tier 1. So tier 2 feels fine enough. Ezequiel Palacios. There was a few injuries and there was a few rotations. But wow, this guy can absolutely smack, right? He's a tier 1. Like, he could even be a star ray on his day. If he settles next season to this Bayer Leverkusen midfield, like, we kind of can tell the rotation. If there is going to be one, which I'm assuming there will be. Man, that guy is an absolute monster on Sorare. Absolute monster. Joshua Kimmich. I mean, you know, we can't disrespect Kimmich. He's still a star rare, right? If he's still taking set pieces, I know Elise's there now, so we don't know necessarily what, you know, how that's going to look. Is Kimmich going to play right back now that Stančić is out? I know they have Sasha Bowie as well, but who knows? So definitely something to keep an eye on there. Gregor Korbel, I think he's a good goalie. He definitely has a mistake in him, as do most goalies, but he's a tier 1 goalie. I don't think he's a star rare for me. I think he's a tier 1 goalie, playing on a very good team, Champions League football. He does have a mistake in him, and I do worry about that a little bit from time to time. Shagler, I'm pretty sure he's still injured. I'm pretty sure he did his ACL, right? I'm not 100% sure on that, and I don't know when he's necessarily back. But he actually can score relatively okay on his day, so I won't disrespect him fully and put him into tier 4, but tier 3 feels fine enough there. Hincapié, another very good, you know, defender for Leverkusen. Again, subject to that rotation sometimes. Applies a little bit less to him because he is on that left side, and, you know, left-sided centre-backs / left wing backs are a little bit more scarce, or left centre-back, sorry. And so, yeah, I think Hincapié's easier tier 2. I think he's a tier 2. I don't know if he's tier 1 ready yet. He might be, but I think tier 2 is safe enough. And then we're left with the two Bayern boys, Harry Kane and Jamal Musiala. I mean, you know, Musiala lit up the Euros. They obviously didn't go as far as they would have liked, I guess, but Musiala was the shining light. He is that X factor for them, for Bayern, and I think him and Elise are going to be. It's going to be really, really tough to deal with, you know, Musiala and Elise. I think they played together in Chelsea's academy years ago, and yeah, they're getting to sort of replay that out now when they're a little bit older. So yeah, I think those two are going to be ridiculous. You know, Musiala does have a forward card, but it's an older card, so his new season card, these are all new season cards. Yeah, is a midfielder, same as Wirtz. Wirtz does have a forward card as well from a previous season. Those versions of those two cards are better than the midfielders, in my opinion. And then Harry Kane. I mean, look, I wasn't impressed what I saw, you know, in the Euros with Kane. I'm not saying that is the acid test for how he's going to get on this season. It did look like he was struggling with injury during the Euros. You know, they still played him every game, and yeah, he did look off it. He looked miles off it, if I'm being honest. I know he popped up with goals, and, you know, he is always going to do that, right? He is, for me, the best finisher in the world. Like, he is. I'm not disputing that. Physically, though, I think we are seeing a little bit of a decline in Harry Kane. Like, he's never been the most mobile, athletic player. He's never needed to be, right? If he's got the right players around him, if he's got quality around him, if they're going to feed him in certain areas, he is going to punish teams, and that's just a fact. And then more so in the Bundesliga. We saw it last season. He scored an incredible amount of goals. I don't think he, like, necessarily regresses, but I don't think he necessarily gets better. But that doesn't mean to say he's not a star rare, right? He has to be a star rare for that reason. He's the main man at Bayern still. But yeah, I do have slight doubts. That doesn't mean I'm going to put him in tier 1 for that reason. But I do have the odd doubt of, you know, can he recover well enough from the Euros? Because he didn't look fit then. It looked like he was struggling with a back injury. So, you know, how will that look, you know, come, you know, this weekend when Bayern kick off the season? So I am really interested in, and I'm going to keep track of that. But yeah, I think our tier list looks relatively fine. I don't think I've made any shocking decisions. If I have, please expose me in the comments, lads. There's not really going to be that many shitters. Like, that's just how it's going to go, unfortunately. And so yeah, you know, I've put a few down there because of injuries, and, you know, they might be getting exiled from squads and stuff. That's kind of the reason. You know, they're all good players. Like, they're not going to be a top 50 Bundesliga player if they aren't a good player, right? Yeah, I'm interested to see how, you know, how it all sort of transpires now with the start of the season this Saturday. Right, lads, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do leave it a like. If you are completely new to the channel, like I said at the start of the video, please do subscribe. Let me know in the comment section your Bundesliga lineups for this upcoming weekend on Sorare. Hope you have a great day, lads, and I shall see you guys in the next video.